During my stay in Poznań, I stopped in the old town, a district once known as a Jewish quarter. From my hotel window, I could see an old building, crumbling and neglected. The clerk at the desk told me it once was the old town swimming baths. I knew it had been more than that. This was the Great Synagogue of Poznań. And this is where the story begins. At the edge of the old town, centuries of memory lie embedded in stones, courtyards and narrow streets. This was once the heart of Jewish life in Poznań. The story stretches back almost 1,000 years. By the 12th century, Jewish merchants and scholars had made Poznań their home, and by the 14th century they had settled north of the market square, near the old gate. Here synagogues, study houses, schools and markets flourished. In 1367 the Old Synagogue was built, making Poznań one of the oldest Jewish centers in Poland. Over time, as many as 20 synagogues rose within the quarter. The city's Jewish community became one of the most influential in Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth and played a leading role in the Council of the Four Lands. Rabbis from Poznań shaped Jewish learning across Europe, while everyday life filled the streets with the sounds of study, trade and Sabbath prayers. But history was really gentle. Fires, wars and shifting borders repeatedly scarred the quarter. Under Prussian rule, restrictions on Jewish life and the compulsory use of German drove many to learn. When Poland gained independence in 1918, much of the community had already departed with the German minority, leaving only 3,000 Jews in Poznań. On the eve of a Second World War, despite decline, a bold new symbol of identity rose in the early 20th century. In 1904, a competition was held for a new synagogue, won by Berlin architects William Kramer and Richard Wolfenstein. The designs combined neo-Romanesque and neo-Moorish styles, crowned with a great dome bearing the Star of David. The synagogue was completed in 1907 at the cost of over 850,000 marks. On the 5th of September of that year, Rabbi Wolf led the first Shema Israel prayer beneath its dome. It became the center of Jewish life in the city. Even as anti-Semitics spread, Poznan's Jews remained committed to Poland. On the 1st of September 1939, as war broke out, Rabbi Jacob Sender led a solemn prayer for victory. Just 8 days later, the last service was held there. When the Nazis marched into Poznań, the synagogue was plundered. The Star of David was stripped from its dome, and the building was converted into a swimming pool. For Jewish life itself was extinguished through deportations executions and labour camps. The destruction of 1,400 synagogues during the Night of the Broken Glass had already foreshadowed what awaited Poland. And in Poznań too, the centuries-old community was annihilated, yet even in darkness defiance endured. Years before the war in January 1934, Jews gathered in the synagogue of the Brothers of Charity on Dominican Street to rally against the Nazi persecution by calling for a boycott of German goods. During the war, many were imprisoned in the Stadin labor camp. Survivor Samuel Bronwynski later recorded how inmates received barely 200 grams of bread and a litre of turnip soup each day. Without outside help, survival was impossible, but local Poles risked their lives to smuggle in food and never betrayed those who fled. The landscape itself still bears the traces of this suffering. Between 1941 and 1942, Jewish prisoners and Polish labourers were forced to dig Lake Ruska by hand. Many died from exhaustion, beatings and executions. Tombstones from Jewish cemeteries were broken up to reinforce its shores. Fragments remain beneath the water to this day. After the war, only a handful of Jews returned to Poznań. The synagogue, still used as a swimming pool, stood as a stark reminder of loss. Proposals to restore it have never been realized. Today, the Jewish quarter is quiet, its streets no longer filled with the voices of its former inhabitants. Modest plaques and memories mark what once was, and walking down the main street or standing beneath the arches of a synagogue, one cannot help but feel both the magnitude of loss and the persistence of remembrance. The Jewish quarter of Poznań no longer echoes with the life it once held, yet its story endures. It is written in the stones of the streets, in the silence that lingers, and in the resilience of memory. A testament to a community that helped shape the soul of this city. So thank you for watching this short segment about Poznań. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. So please subscribe and watch the other films about the Jewish segments of Poland. So thank you for watching. Dzięki.